snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do a quick book review, and the book I'm going to be reviewing is Mort, which is by Terry Pratchett. This is the first one in the Witches series of his Discworld books. It's the fourth one in publication order, if that makes sense. Basically, the Discworld is a really, really long series, I think 30 or 40 books in the series, and they are all set on the same world. We have reappearing characters in various different books throughout the series and different storylines for different groups of characters. You can jump in at most books. There are some that it's not recommended to start with, but Mort is one of the books that it is recommended to start with if you want to try out his books, so you can start the series off by reading this one. I started with The Colour of Magic, which is the first one that was published, and you can start there as well, or you can start at one of his other miniature series. You can find guides online about where you can start. I'll try and link one in the description if I remember. Moving on to what Mort itself is actually about. All of Terry Pratchett's books are fairly short, as you can see. This one is not too long. I actually read this as a buddy read with Chelsea from The Reading Outlaw and James from James Chatham, so I'll link both their channels. And we had a great time talking about this, although it is kind of hard to buddy read Terry Pratchett's books because he doesn't actually use chapters necessarily. He tends to write really, really long books without chapters, and you just have to find little breaks to talk about stuff. I loved it. I think Terry Pratchett is an absolute genius with how he comes up with his stories. He uses a lot of satire, he uses a lot of comedy within his books to make commentary on some of the great ideas of our world, like life and death. He also talks a lot about various different social ideas, and I just think he's fantastic to do that within a fantastical setting. In this book, we follow a young boy called Mort who is hoping to get an apprenticeship, but it gets to the very last hour or last few minutes of the day and no one has come to claim him, so he's feeling very down, very dejected, when suddenly Death comes along and decides that Death is going to take him on as an apprentice, and Mort becomes the apprentice to Death himself. Death is actually a personified character in this. I think that's a fantastically witty idea of Terry Pratchett's, and he does Death incredibly well. Death comes out with so many great lines during this book that made me smile, that made me excited, that made me think a little bit as well. He's a fantastic character, and it's also at the root of it all a fun adventure story. It's not just satirical, it's not just comedy, it definitely has its own story and its own adventure, and I feel like this is the book where Terry Pratchett is starting to really establish his voice within fantasy as a comedy fantasy writer. He's fantastic at it. I love this. I would highly recommend any of the Discworld books, or at least the first four are the only ones I've read, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to love all the others, so I probably would recommend any of them. Definitely need to carry on with some of his books this year. I'm sure you'll see me picking up a few more in the next few months because they're so quick and easy to get through, and he just has such a fantastic way with words. I'd highly recommend this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars in the end, and I think it's just a beautiful, wonderful, heartwarming, funny, amusing story. So if any of that appeals to you, pick up some Terry Pratchett for sure. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.